to the Sports Wrap. George Ringer from the famous Solarium.
This is the den.
Who would have ever thunk that we would do the wrap right from here in the old Solarium? We've talked about it. We've heard about it. The music, the TV, the readings. You can see the
records
the stuff behind us. We're in Nirvana for George.
Oh, this is my temple of knowledge. There's no two ways about it. And Sue tells me all the time, going back up to the apartment area. So,
Yeah.
This is where most of my living is done. Not very big, but there's a lot of stuff in here.
There's a lot of stuff in here. So if you ever get an invitation, take George up on it. It's worth your time, I think. So where should we start this week?
I don't even know. I mean.
Okay, I know.
You pick it.
I know where we're going to start. We're going to start with that football game from Sunday.
There we have it.
We'll start because we both love football, and that's not the reason. But what a wild, wacky FCS championship game between Sam Houston State and South Dakota State. In the fact that you had a little bit of everything. You had some controversy whether Sam Houston fumbled the football. What's his name?
Ezard?
Yeah, anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And whether he fumbled the ball before he went into the end zone.
Oh, a day.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then whether the weather had a big issue on it with the lightning and the delay of the game for nearly an hour, and then South Dakota State behind, and then coming back and taking the lead, and then Sam Houston State for the third straight week pulling it out.
They did, and they pulled it on, and what a terrific game! When Gronkowski, the starting quarterback for SDSU, went down in the first series, and like you said, we knew that they were going to be in trouble. But I'll tell you, they had a kid that come back in, this Keaton Heidi, he's from Wayzata. And he did a pretty good job. He was 11 for 22 for 106. He did throw an interception. And, the problem of it is that with the Sam Houston team, they could explode on you any time.
The thing that I think about South Dakota State was, we talked about them falling behind, but I think the rain delay was a big edge for South Dakota State in the fact that they had to kind of go back to the drawing board with the kid from Wayzata at quarterback. Yes, you try to run your stuff, but the coaches had 45 minutes to sit down and say, okay, we don't have our quarterback. We don't have the guy that's the MVP of the league. We got to do something different here. And how are we going to do this different? And how are we going to change our offense? So I think without the weather delay, South Dakota State might lose by 2-3 touchdowns. But with the delay, they gave themselves a chance to get back in the football game.
Yes.
And the running back, I can't think of his name. You probably have it written down.
Yeah, Ezard.
Made a big run, 85-yard run for South Dakota State, and put them ahead, and you thought, wow, they got all the momentum. And then, of course, Sam Houston State did what they do. They've got lots of athletes, and they made things happen.
No, for the second week in a row, Hakees Ezard, every time he got the ball, he could do some damage. Every time he got the ball, he could score. And I know they say that all the time, but it really was true. He had a lot of big plays in him, and he did it for 2 weeks. And so there is no way that they could keep that guy down. And with as good a defense as SDSU had, and they did have a very fine defense, they just couldn't hang on to those scamperbacks.
Yeah, it was, like I said, close game, good solid game. Looks like the two best teams in the nation were there, and I guess that's all we can ask for.
I just like the way the tournament was run. They started from 16 teams and worked it down. They originally were going to do 24, but they got it down to 16. And if you're going to run a football tournament, in my mind, that's the way to do it. And this Division 1A FCS football, pretty good football.
Yeah. You don't have maybe the super back or whatever, or the super, but there's a lot of good players.
Well, it's like I asked you about Ezra. Did he get drafted? And you said no, but I bet you he will.
I bet you he will.
They still have to return kickoffs and punts and things such as this. And so, you got to have that guy that can scoot.
I was going to say, speed kills.
Speed kills. It does.
It does. So you got to take care of business.
I've been on the receiving end of that a couple times.
Where should we go next?
I'll tell you.
As long as we're talking about football, or you want to save that till the end?
Well, the Burnsy, we could save that.
We'll save Burnsy till the end.
I do have some football. I'll go for notes. Keontae Shad put in a portal for the Gophers, and he is heading for Oregon State. Now he's 6'3.5" and 295 pounds, Tim, and you've watched him work. He is a fine athlete.
Yeah. Why is he leaving?
I have no idea why they go. The portals are just flush full of top caliber people, and how he wound up going to Oregon. He only has 1 year left, but off he goes, and that kind of hurt me a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna affect. You start thinking about this experience and building on things, and of course PJ Fleck will find a positive way to spin it because he always does.
Positive way to spin losing 17 and a half tackles in 17 games, and 4 or 5 for losses. That's tough to replace with hype.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But as long as we're talking about the Gophers softball team.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 they won from Penn State over the weekend. This might be being too whatever, but I was disappointed they lost Game 4. I wanted the sweep, but I don't think it really affected their placement in the tournament. They're in the bracket with number 2 UCLA, which tells me that they're somewhere in that 30 range. That's where they got seeded, approximately, give or take a position. I'm sure they're trying to balance things out. They like to keep 4 Texas teams in Texas if they can.
Well,
they try to keep 4 California teams together, but it didn't work out. They got UCLA, Fresno State, who the Gophers play, and then they've got, who did I miss? Cal State Fuller? Who is it? I didn't even write it down. Anyway, it's a California team.
It is.
That UCLA is playing on the first night, and so they play on Friday, and I have all kinds of expectations that they're going to win that game and get UCLA.
I think they are too. They're going to give this. They've got a real talented team if they can keep the pitching going, and Pfizer can keep on chucking, and those bats.
Yeah, they have the ability to do all the things. It's just a matter of putting them all together and making things happen. I have to say this: for them to come through and beat UCLA twice would be monumental. You think the run to the World Series a couple years ago was super exciting, or was unthought of? Them beating UCLA would be wow. That's how good UCLA is, and that's nothing against Minnesota. Just that's how good UCLA.
Are they defending champs?
Oklahoma's defending. I believe Oklahoma. Don't quote me on that either. If I'm wrong out there, folks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Oklahoma play this year, but they talked about, you talk about being able to hit the ball and be able to throw it around a little bit. Whoo, Oklahoma. That's why they're number 1. Well, I don't know if Oklahoma's lost yet. So, anyway, softball tournament starts
on Friday. That is something to watch. That will it brings on a good weekend of sports.
So, yeah, I'm just looking at my stuff to make sure.
Yeah.
The last thing college we should talk about is Mr. Ulrich.
We should talk about Mr. Ulrich.
Mr. Ulrich has his final week.
That's this week?
Of this weekend against George Mason. And that actually starts on Thursday.
Yeah, they had a tough go with George Washington.
They had a tough go. See, it's a George thing, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's bad.
So, 1 game Thursday, 2 games Friday, and a game on Saturday. And then I believe the college career for Mr. Ulrich will come to an end. And I'm sure we'll see if he's got something in the hopper, something looking to sign as a free agent somewhere or something, and go from there.
Well, he's a real fine-looking baseball player. If he wants to continue playing, I sure hope he gets a chance to.
Wyatt mentioned to me or on a tweet that he appreciated your comment on him having hops. He doesn't really think so. He's still working on dunking a basketball. But he appreciated the props. And I don't know if I told everybody, but Wyatt Ulrich, his parents went out for a couple of weekends, and they brought Eli a baseball back, autographed by Mr. Larkin, spider on one side. So Wyatt Ulrich, he's a good man, and I texted him and told him that Eli appreciated it, and so did I. He's a class kid.
He's a class kid, especially when they work with little kids. That's the best.
So,
well, I'm looking forward. I've never met the guy. I hope we get a chance this summer to be able to.
When he comes home the next time, So there's your invite. to the solarium.
To the solarium, oh boy.
Wyatt Ulrich, right there. There's your invite to the solarium. We'll sit down in here and we'll watch a little baseball or hockey or whatever. And
tell them John Gagliardi stories.
And there you go.
Yeah.
So, Johnny stories abound. There you go.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Well,
there was another horse race last weekend.
Yeah, you watched.
No, I didn't.
I see. I didn't get to watch it either because I was getting ready to do a baseball game on the radio, and just as the race was going to start, the first game that the Broncos played got done, and I wanted to get down and make sure I caught Coach Phil Talmadge so I could get a little pregame interview. And by the time we got done, the race was long over, and Rombauer, I think.
Rombauer, and he's this was the first time that Media Spirit had ever been passed.
Okay.
And so this is when it went by, and they said he just kind of what was that?
What has happened? That doesn't happen to me.
No, so the 11-1 shot won the race, and Bob Burford is he's kind of froze out of the New York.
Yeah, they kind of said don't come here.
Don't come here anymore for a while.
So. They talked about keeping the integrity of racing in New York, and I have to admit I chuckled on the inside as I read that because if there seems like there'd be any place where things would go wrong, it would be possible. Anyway, I kid. Don't get me in trouble in New York. Anyway, I obviously Medina Spirit is still the winner of the Kentucky Derby, but you wonder. Is that going to stay that way?
I don't know if it will or not, but I mean, he did. Is he now the winner again?
He's still the winner. They never took it away from him. I think they're still in debate mode. But the problem with it is, if you change it 2 to 3 weeks later, what about all the gamblers? What if you say Medina Spirit is disqualified? Now all those people that had second place, now they want first place. Now they want their money. How the heck do you do that?
Those really good friends of mine I was in the pool with,
they want their money back, George.
They ain't getting
Cough up that.
Besides, I picked Hot Rod Charlie, and Hot Rod Charlie took third. Nobody else took first or second, so I won.
There you go.
It was, and Sue said, "Are you going to give them back to their money?" No.
Heck no.
This is just.
This is how you learn a lesson the hard way. You lose your money.
Yeah, you lose your that is pretty much the truth.
That is pretty much the truth. So, and of course, the Belmont goes off in about 2.5 weeks from the time when you watch this. It's Wednesday today when we record this. So, I don't know if I'll be able to watch. I hope that I will, but. These crazy weekends, you just don't know what's going to come up.
No, and they start the race at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they don't run the actual thing till 10 to 6. They can talk about more things that have nothing to do with the race. But hey, I just wanted to talk just for a second. Stanford University.
Yes.
They had an interesting situation. They cut 11 sports from their agenda, including wrestling, and this was when Shane Griffith took the 165-pound NCAA weightlifting champion. Well, it seems that they've reconsidered, and they've reinstated all the sports, and they found that the sports could raise a lot more money for their particular sports than Stanford University could. And so they cut back, and I think they walked away with egg all over their face. And
they decided to reinstate all 11 sports that they had cut. And the alumni, the supporters, came up with a lot of money. And I think if Stanford the people in charge would have sat down and said, "Look, we're having some problems. We'd like to have some more money." Would the people have come out? Probably not as much as they did after they cut 11 sports. Yeah. But having said that, it never hurts to ask first for money.
Stanford's pretty sophisticated outfit. You'd think that and their alumni make a lot of dough. For instance, the wrestling team came up with $11.5 million when their whole budget was only $7.5 million. Well, what do you say? I can't afford you? It becomes a real strange situation. So,
I think Stanford had 40, if I remember right, I think they have 41 varsity sports.
They did.
So to cut 11 to get down to 30 is still a monumental. Can you imagine being the athletic director for Stanford?
You were not sleeping for a long time.
I'm like, you better have lots of people working for you, because I guess I watch Bill Mason with 18 sports, and that's a full-time effort right there. So can you imagine 40, and then the flying, and I know there's lots of people in charge on each team and whatever else, but somebody's got to, at the end of the day, has got to sign off and say this is okay.
Right. That's right.
And
that's right.
So, anyway,
but I have to wonder, did Shane Griffith's really outstanding performance in the NCAA's, and there is, I'm sure, other outstanding performances in all these sports. I think that was right in the face of the administration, and they really had no choice. And there's a group of wrestlers and a group of athletes that really trying to protect their sport and really actually trying to contribute to their university, because they leave in a couple years, but somebody else is going to be coming in. So I'm real proud of these kids. They did a nice job. Anyway,
I see you got the NBA next.
Listen. Stephen Curry.
Listen now, pay attention.
Stephen Curry, all he has to do is score 48 points a game over the course of the next 14 or 15 games. Because if he can't do that, the Golden State Warriors can't win. And, and it's just, it seems to me that...
Can I say it this way?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that tonight's Lakers Golden State Warriors
incredible game
may be the most intriguing game of the entire NBA playoffs. Now,
no doubt about it.
There's going to be NBA fans out there that are going to disagree with me, because, hey, when Philly and Brooklyn play, or whoever plays in the Eastern Conference Finals, and of course maybe it's Utah and Phoenix, and that's why I say what I'm saying, because who's paying attention? Who knows the 5 starters for Utah or Phoenix? I mean, not that I know them for probably any team for that matter, but think about it. This game between LeBron James and Steph Curry has just about everything ESPN could ever want.
Well, yes, and plus you have 2 of the premier teams of the past that are sitting struggling now, and struggled most of the year, and now they're here in the playoffs, and they're looking at each other. And so they're not only looking, what can we do now, where am I going in the future? And so, I take a look at, T-Wolves have this young kid, Edwards, 19 years old. That's young. And he's very good.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
And so, you see, again, a generational change. That being said, Seth Curry, he has all the capabilities of lighting it up. And when he's lightening it up, there's nobody more fun to watch.
Absolutely. When he's shooting the ball, it's pretty fun to watch. And the thing is about this game, and like I said, by the time people watch this will be past history, but with the NBA's new play-in thing that LeBron hates, and that's why it's even more intriguing to me, because it's a 7-8 game.
Yeah.
The loser gets to play the winner of the 9-10 game. The 9-10 loser is done. And then the 8 and the 9, or 8 and or whoever, the winner and the loser play on Friday night. And theoretically, the Lakers lose the next 2 games, they're done. They're out of the playoffs. LeBron's sitting at home, and everybody's kind of going...
Well, so what do you think of this arrangement? There's a lot of people with a lot of questions.
I liken this to what the MLB has done, what Major League Baseball has done. They did the 1-game wild card to get in. I think the NBA said, kind of creates a little bit of an excitement, keeps these other teams in. So now, instead of there only being 8 teams in, there's 10 teams in. So guess what? The fans in those other 2 towns, the 9th and 10th place team, they're going, hey, we're still in it. If we get to 10th, we could still be the number 8 seed. We got a chance.
Yeah. Okay.
So guess what? They keep going and buying tickets. Instead of, you got 15 teams in the West, 15 teams in the East. So instead of having 7 that are gone the last week or 2, All of a sudden, you only got 5 teams that maybe are gone, and maybe 11, 12, and 13 are still fighting for it. They still got a chance to get in. The NBA has got to be going, this was a great idea. This never goes away. Because guess what this does? You take those teams at the top, Philly, Brooklyn, Utah, Phoenix, guess what? They get a week off. They get 5 days off, which is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They want to get a little rest. So guess what? 7, 8, 9, 10, you play all week. And then when you win, you get in, you get to play those teams that have rested for 5 days, and then you get to go home and be fodder and see you later, alligator. So to me, this is a great idea. I'm sorry, LeBron, I think you're wrong on it. This has created more interest in the NBA to start the playoffs, and this is what I mean. When you start with 7-game series, I don't need to watch the first 2 games because they're going to go 1-1. And then when things get serious in game 4 and 5, I'll start watching.
That's what happens.
Guess what? Right now, people are watching because, especially tonight, they want to watch Steph and LeBron. Like I said, it might even get me to watch an NBA playoff game tonight. No, it's too late. But having said that, I think it creates excitement, and whether LeBron James or others don't, I don't see this ever going away. This is in.
I'll tell you, one of the other things I'm going to be keeping an eye on are the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
And that's because of...
give me a good reason why.
Of Jay Morant. He's Rookie of the Year last year. He is just coming into his own, and these kids, once they get into playoffs, something seems to click, and this is what Steph Curry did for a long, long time. You know, you are just really ready to go, and I think Morant's there. I think the Grizzlies have a pretty good basketball team. They run well, they shoot well, and he's going to be the key. But these guys can put up 30, 40, and even more points. You know, that changes the game.
Jason Tatum scored 50 last night for the Celtics. So
yeah. That's a lot of buckets.
That's a lot of buckets. You mentioned Anthony Edwards earlier.
Yeah.
He was the Western Division Rookie of the Month for the 3rd time this season. To me, he has to be the Rookie of the Year. Okay, I know lots of people out there for Bell. Anthony Edwards probably won't win it because he doesn't have the name. He doesn't have the recognition that the LaMelo Ball name has, and that's unfortunate because I think he's deserving.
I took a look at the roster. They had run a roster in the paper today. They had one guy who's 34 years old, and he's gone. The rest of them average 25, 26. This is a young team, a talented team, and they have a high draft pick coming in. This is a team of the future. There's no doubt about it. And it's not even like, oh, we hope they get a good draft. Maybe they'll. No, this is a team that's to watch for. They're beyond hope.
They should be.
They should be.
They
beyond
have
hope.
to be.
They better be.
And of course, they sail to Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lore, I think, is finally official. I think it takes 2.5 years before they become the official owners for $1.5 billion. Now, I understand baseball players make a lot, but whoever Alex Rodriguez's financial advisor was, he must have done pretty well because it sounded like to me like they were 50-50 partners, which means he's ponying up $750 million.
You know, I was one time just taking my time and driving through Florida, and I looked upon A-Rod's Mercedes-Benz distributorship.
Oh.
It was huge. And these were Mercedes, and maybe Ferraris, and things such as that. He was still playing baseball.
Huh?
And I thought...
Somebody took good care of him.
Somebody took good care of him. And so he's got money, and I know that he has money, and he's no stupido. Oh, well, he has been in the past once or twice, but...
I was wondering where you were going to go with it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where I was going to go with it either, but I hope it works out for him. I really do.
I hope they decide
they
to leave
don't try to yank it out of town.
That's we've talked about that, I think, before. Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Did you watch the Lynx last night?
No,
they weren't on. You'd had to watch them on ESPN Plus.
I did.
By the way.
I was wilding it last night.
I understand.
Yeah.
They were in New York, and they played against Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah.
And you might remember her from Oregon for a couple years ago. She had a triple-double last night. The scarier part about that was, this shocked me when I read this last night or this morning. Just the 9th triple-double in WNBA history.
You're kidding me.
Just the 9th. And the league's been around for 25 years.
Wow.
So, they play 8 less minutes than the NBA does.
Yeah.
They only play 40 minutes, so it makes the triple-double that much more difficult. But the Lynx were in it at halftime. Matter of fact, they were ahead at halftime, if I remember right. And then Coach Reeves said on the radio this morning, this is one thing I like about my little new side gig that I have. I get to listen to all the press conferences cut up. I don't have to listen to all the malarkey. Somebody cuts it up and says, this is pretty good. You should listen to this. Anyway, she basically said, our team is out of shape, and I am disappointed with the shape that they came in from in the offseason. They did not do the work, and I guess they're going to have to pay the price for that.
Oh, boy. It sounds like the coach is serious.
Oh, boy. Well, see, they got Seattle coming on Thursday. And Seattle's probably the favorite to win the WNBA title. So you don't want to run the heck out of them on Wednesday to get ready for Thursday, but when they get a couple of days off, you guys better go. When you come to the Target Center for practice, I'm just warning you right now, you're going to get the snot run out of you. Literally. It's going to be bad. It's going to be ugly. Just so you know. She's going to get you into shape, and she's going to have you ready for the playoffs. So, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, no.
It's just the way I see it, everybody.
Hey, I got one other thing on my notes here. You know what's coming up on Sunday? They are going to have, and just if you've never done this, just catch it. This is going to be Formula One racing in Monaco. Monaco, Princess Grace and all like that. And I've watched it before. Why do you like to watch it? Well, they're narrow little streets. These are the old ancient town, and they got these Formula One cars going very, very fast around these tiny little streets. And people from Monaco, they view life, I think, a little bit different. They're on a continual vacation in one of the most beautiful parts of the world. Anyway, Sunday morning, I'm going to be cranking up here in the speakers, and I'll watch those cars go around. But the Formula One at Monaco, that's going to catch my attention.
That is the the Holy Grail, I would say, of Formula One.
Yeah.
It was something that every year ABC's Wide World of Sports always carried. That was something that you got to watch. And, I don't know if I'll have time on Sunday morning, but you just never know. It might fit into the schedule.
Let's go just a smidgen baseball.
What type of baseball do you want to talk about?
I'll talk about twin baseball, and I want to talk about Wnba Mercedes.
Yeah, what would you like to talk about, Yerman?
When you get hit in the back of the leg, does it hurt?
Well, it brings up an interesting conversation because you can't see out to the side, but the Twins game from this afternoon is just starting. And while we've been doing the show, I've been able to keep a little eye on it. And of course, they were talking about Duffy and Rocco being thrown out of the game because Duffy threw behind Mercedes after he hit a 3-0 pitch into the cheap seats in a 15-4 game, which I guess in baseball...
That's a no-no.
That's a no-no.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet from Trevor Bauer today saying, if you don't want somebody swinging on 3-0, don't get to 3-0. Okay? Throw the ball into the, So I talked to somebody about that today, and they're like, no, that rule's in place because when you're up 15-4, are you stealing bases? No. Are you suicide squeezing? Are you bunting? No. Then you shouldn't be swinging on 3-0. And I'm like, okay, you probably got me on that rationale. Mercedes has been told...
Russo has ripped them up. And,
as long as Tony La Russa is the manager, if that happens again, he may not be in the major leagues if Tony La Russa, the way he talked about it. And, hey, when did you learn your best lessons? When you really screwed up.
And also, he's a rookie, and he's probably not overly bright.
Well,
and there's a meatball standing there right in front of you. What do you do?
No, I don't know if this is correct, but I believe it to be correct. He spent 10 years in the minors.
Whoa.
So when you get to the majors and you get a chance to put a ball out of the park, I'm not upset about this. I hope he understands why he got thrown at. I hope he learns a lesson. I hope everybody learns a lesson, but. Trevor Bauer is quite controversial controversial, you want to find somebody with some interesting takes on baseball and where things should be, you should go follow him on Twitter.
No, I mean, the question I have, do you think the Twins sacrificed Duffy did they go over there and says now's the time to beat him?
Well, and that's the other part of this that I'm maybe confused about. This was in the 7th inning. If they wanted to hit Mercedes, why didn't they do it in the 1st inning?
When it could have been something.
Well, okay, if you give up a base runner in the 7th inning, to me that's a lot more dangerous because you're running out of innings. So why would Duffy throw at him in the 7th inning and not throw at him in the 1st or 2nd inning? And I know what somebody's going to say. Well, what if the starter gets thrown out and then they got to use up their relievers? Okay, I'll work with that argument. I'll buy into that. But to me, if it's done in the 1st or 2nd inning, it's different. And if Duffy doesn't throw behind him and throws and just actually hit him, it would have been different, I think. And when you throw behind a guy, that's a bad sign. So
it is. Anyway, it was nice to see Miguel Sano give some good raps. He's never hit 3 in a game. It's difficult to do.
And somebody told me he hit one to left, he hit one to center, and he hit one to right, which that's kind of a rare triple whatever. So where's this been?
I don't know, but there was one that was a line drive. I swear it never went 20 feet above the ground the entire time. It was just a bullet. And it's just, when it got to the other end, it kind of boom, 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 instead of plunked. It was a shot. So, he's capable of drilling that. And but he's been hot as of late. He's got some nice base hits. And anytime you pick up three dingers.
They just said he's batting .400 with 4 home runs in his last 4 games.
Well, let's see.
So that's not too shabby. But then things didn't go so well for the Twins today. If I saw the tweet right, and I keep harping on this, but it's been a very busy afternoon. But I think the Twins only got 2 hits today.
Ooh.
Here, you talk. I'm going to look that up because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong on that. You keep talking.
Well, who's pitching for the White Sox?
Oh boy,
that's a hard question.
They're talking about yapping about the game here. Let me see here. About the other.
Yeah, there they go.
Oh, let's see here. Where? Come on.
Well, and I'll tell you, Baldy had to stand up for his guy. So I that didn't surprise me.
No, I agree. Twins had 2 hits. The scary part about was that they lost 2-1. The White Sox only had 5 hits. So you really can't complain. Shoemaker took the loss. He goes to 2-5. But he pitched into the 6th inning.
That's all you're gonna get out of these guys.
Your man Nelson Cruz hit his 10th home run of the year.
Boy, Nelson
in the 3rd inning and 4th inning, I think. Anyway, they lose 2-1, so they lose the series to Chicago 2-1. They get a day off on Thursday. That might be the best thing that they could get.
Yeah, I agree.
But did we talk about this last week? Is Baldelli in danger of losing his job?
I thought for a second he might be, but maybe they might stick with him. All they have to do is get some of these dingers and start hitting home runs. I don't know. Maybe at the end of the year. I think they'll continue the year with him.
I'm hopeful because of this. They only gave up 4 runs to Chicago in the Tuesday game, and they only gave up 2 runs on Wednesday's game. So maybe the pitching, after giving up 16 and whatever else, maybe they've righted the ship a little bit. Maybe they can right the ship. But you can't lose 2 out of 3 at home, and we'll see how things go this next week.
And Buxton, he's out for a while.
Buxton's out for probably till the end of May, I'm going to guess. And Alex Kirilloff got back into the AAA lineup tonight. And I think they're hoping maybe by Friday he'll be playing with the Twins again.
That'd make a big difference.
That'd help, and getting Buxton back would help. And, Arise just came off the concussion protocol. So Miguel's... Yeah.
Well, sports is oftentimes breaks. And thus far, the Twins have had a lot of bad ones. And, they still got an awful lot of talent on there, except for maybe, they could use some help on the pitching staff, relieving staff. But whatever happened to Spahn and Sane and 2 days of rain? I mean, It would be nice to get some.
Never going to be like that again.
Never going to be like that again.
If you hold your breath waiting for that, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. No,
you want to talk about the Wild at all?
Well, let's talk about the Wild. We watched the game on Sunday night, and that was as good a hockey game as I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, the hits, the 1-0 win for the Wild in overtime. It had everything except a lot of goals.
There was not a lot of goals, and Cam Talbot kind of made sure of that. Last night they were in front of him, and the Wild come and score right off the bat, but 15, 20 seconds later they come and answer. But even at that, I saw the Wild around Fleury a lot more than I saw the Golden Knights around Talbot, and it's.
Evason said after the game, he said the second goal, the one that was the eventual game winner for Tuck, he said it was just a bad bounce. He said they tried an impossible pass from behind the net. It hits off the side of the net. It goes right to the guy. That's not the way it was supposed to work, but that's hockey. That's bounces. That's how things work. I heard a lot of people who are hockey whatever say the Wild played better in Game 2 than they did in Game 1, and they lost 3-1. So Wnba said after the game, we're a different team at home. Expect higher intensity if that's possible. Expect more from the Wild when they get home on Thursday night, and I hope for their sake that they do exactly that.
I'll tell you, the Minnesota Wild, they have a bunch of young superstars. They really do, taking nothing from Kaprizov at all. But Wnba,
You love Wnba.
I do.
There's a lot of people out there, George, that want him gone.
Well, I don't.
You're not one of them.
No, I am not. And I watched him take care of Kaprizov again last night, and he's in front of that net doing his job. And a lot of people thinks he's one of the best defensemen in the league. So
here's what somebody said to me. They're going to end up having to trade Parise.
Yes,
who's going to take Parise's high contract? Well, the only way they take it is if you put a superstar on the trade block with them. And they suggested that it'd be Matt Wnba.
Wow.
That he and Parise together somewhere for minimal, whatever Wnba's worth, right around there, or maybe a little less. So we'll see.
A lot of people are upset that Parise's not playing, and and they just says we like the fourth line as it works, and the fourth line was productive most of the season, and I think that Parise had a lot to do with that. So
yeah, I think there are some hard feelings. This is my guess now. I have no whatever on this. I think there are some hard feelings from his benching earlier in the year. I think he said something to somebody, whether it was Evason or Guerin or somebody in whatever, or he voiced his opinion and it got back to those people, and they have basically said, look, he can't be out there. Nick Bukestad, who basically maybe is taking Parise's spot, sort of, if I can say it that way.
And he's playing very well.
And there's the thing. Yeah. He's playing very well.
Yeah.
How can you take Nico Sturm or Bonino? I think that's the fourth line right now. How do you take any one of those three guys off the ice? So I don't know if it's necessarily anything against Parise. It's just those three guys are working pretty well together right now. And why break up something that's working? And a lot of people might, like you said, might say, well, Parise gives you lots of stuff. Man, I think he gives you lots of stuff, but I think he brings you a little of the bad stuff too. About
he does. He hustles.
He's got that old time pride sometimes.
Oh, he does.
That hurts him.
He was raised with it.
I ask you this question because I have it right here. Only 2 goals in 3 games. Are you concerned?
Yes. They've been shuffling goals all year long, and they just haven't been getting very good shots. And I don't want to take anything away from Fleury because he is really a fine goalie when he's going.
The good shots that they've had, he's made some pretty
good saves. But they will skate. They will skate. And with Kaprizov, that second line they're starting to get a style, and that second line is going to produce the first line. I mean, face it, those guys are just out and out good, and it's
the thing that I'm waiting for, and this may seem very simplistic. But Kirill obviously didn't score one of the 2 goals.
No, he didn't.
When Kirill scores, everybody
jumps up.
Everybody comes this way. Give Vegas credit. I think they've kept Kirill to the edges. He likes to be out there. He likes to skate, but he hasn't been able to find a crease and get in where he can be real dangerous. I'm not saying he's playing bad. I'm just saying that they're being very...
They are checking him to the boards and keeping him to the boards so he can't.
That's going to change now when they come home because they can't change. Vegas gets last change at home. Now that they're going to be in St. Paul, they don't get last change. So can you get Kaprizov out there against maybe a better matchup where Vegas doesn't get to match up and put a certain line on them? So that's the game that comes up now that there's 2 games in St.
Well, and I'm going to have to keep an eye on that because I'll tell you, I'm just getting back into this pro hockey thing. But he is so fast off the boards, and he's quicker than a lot of those defensemen. He's quicker than all of the defensemen. Mm-hmm. But they just keep on pinching him to the inside and pinching him to the outside boards, and that's when they do that, they play him well. When they don't do that, he's right in front of that net, raising all kinds of annoyances.
So by the time we talk again, by the time we tape next week's show,
yes,
we'll already be possibly to Game 6.
We will.
Okay, that would be next Wednesday because they're going to go Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They'll just go every other day. I ask you it this way: will we be watching hockey next Wednesday night? Excuse me, when we record this show in a week.
Yes.
Will we still be playing hockey?
Yeah, no. Neither one of these teams are going to give it up that easy. And
so it's going to go. It's going to go at least 6.
It's going to go at least 6.
Does it go 7?
It might.
Good possibility the way the teams have been playing it.
Yeah, and I think that those are the 2 best teams. I mean, Colorado has also had a good season, and face it, St. Louis can give you a bump or 2. But I think these 2 teams are the best teams around, and Vegas has been a good team since its conception.
I have these concerns, and then we'll move on. I'll give George the last word.
No.
I am concerned about the physicality of this series in 2 concerns. Can the Wild keep playing that way for a 7-game series? And having said that, if you get out of this series, how much do you have left to go play Colorado?
Well, because that's the key. This
would become a war where either one of these teams, Vegas or the Wild, are going to have to come through and possibly play 20-plus games. And having started the playoffs with the physicality that this series has started with is alarming, is scary.
Those games
I don't know if either one of these 2 teams, whoever comes out of it, can win in the next round or succeeding rounds because they're not going to have anything left in the tank.
Well, and they're playing a lot of games with very little rest, and plus the travel time. So, one of the hardest things about professional sports is keeping up with all these games. When do you have time to get tired? And so, I think the youth of the Wild right now is going to come through. I don't know. I mean, both teams have to be. They don't look like they're in bad condition to me.
No, and they won't. I don't think you'll start to see the wearing down of the bodies.
But that's
for a while.
The 7th game of these against these really good teams, and who's Colorado playing? They got
St. Louis.
So they're not going to come away unscathed either.
No, I'm not saying anybody. I'm not saying the other series won't be, but this one set a record for the number of hits in a game.
Well, and I'll tell you this. This is the kind of series that the Wild has to win. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that they'd be anywhere near this? And they, and it's not him, but so they're in the middle of this, and I think that they want to win.
I think we knew Kaprizov was good, but we didn't think it was going to be this good.
Nobody did.
And that's
been the difference.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I agree.
PGA Golf Championship coming up, the 5th major or the 4th major, kind of the 3rd in the string here as they play through these. It got moved from August into May, and Rory Mcilroy won last week after a couple weeks ago. He looked, can I say pathetic? Is that okay?
He was
Rory, don't get a hold of me, please. He didn't look good. Won last week, but obviously he's one of the favorites. Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Jordan Spieth, Bryson DeChambeau. Do you care? Do you want to pick one?
Well, I like Chambeau. I mean,
DeChambeau.
They're all good golfers. Do I care which one? I don't have a favorite amongst that. Tiger's not playing, so what can I do?
There you go.
But no,
I in here, Xander Schauffele. He's good enough to win it. I think he should. Ricky Fowler is in that category. His game, it would be a shame if Ricky Fowler did not win a major. For as good as he was, for as long as he has been,
he's never won a major.
Never won a major. To me, that's he's. At some point, he's going to break through.
He's been doing this for a long time. You'd expect that he would have done that.
So that's this weekend. So, amongst everything else, I'm hoping Sunday afternoon, maybe, I'll get to sit down and watch a little bit of the PGA. I don't think I'll get to watch much of it before then, but we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. Yeah. What else you got? I know you got the Burnsy thing, and I got the local sports thing.
Let me see. I'm just going through here. Or softball.
Friday night. Come on. Anyway.
Sunday morning. Let's see here.
That's about it, man. Yeah.
Oh, I think that just might about do it.
So I'll do the local sports, and then we'll finish with Burns.
Why don't we do that?
So Bronco baseball. Wow, folks. I don't know if you were listening on Saturday night, but what a heartbreaker. The Bronco baseball team scores nine runs in the third inning. Lead 9-0, and then Ely comes back, beats them 10-9, scoring the game-winning run in the seventh inning. Tough one there. Then they beat Virginia the other Tuesday night under the lights in Virginia, a team they had lost to earlier in the year. Good sign. Broncos won this afternoon, a 2:00 game against Northwoods, 6-2. Brian Koenig, 11 strikeouts.
Ooh,
not too shabby. So the baseball team, who's been really hot lately? Tristan Thompson. 2 games in Ely on Saturday. First game he went 3 for 3. I think 2 RBIs and 3 runs scored. Then in the second game he went 3 for 4 and scored 3 times. So I think for the day, he went 6 for 7 and he scored 6 times.
He's only a sophomore.
He's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
So he's been stealing bases, of course, with his speed. Yeah. So a new mix in the lineup there. The girls softball team. Gracie Swenson had a no-hitter last Friday against Northwoods. She had, I believe, 11 strikeouts in that. Don't quote me on that one, folks. I'm going off the top of my head. Then they played MIB on Monday. Broncos scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 4th. Ends up being the only inning they score in. Same thing that the Bronco baseball team did in Ely. And then they ended up losing 6-5 in extra innings. Gracie Swenson had 12 strikeouts. The pitcher from MIB, CC Schneider, she had 15 strikeouts in the game.
Does anybody get on base?
Yeah, well, enough to score 11 runs. That's the point I'm making. There was a good mix of everything, and there was a, can I call her a little girl? She seemed pretty young to me. Her name's Paris Pontonen. I can't forget Pontonen because that was my physics teacher at Mesabi Range. And I'll never forget Paris as a first name because how many kids are named Paris? There's only Paris Hilton, and as far as I know, Paris Pontonen.
And Paris France, that's it.
And she played center field. She hit 2 of the hardest hit balls I've seen all season, and I've watched a lot of softball and baseball. She absolutely rocketed 2 balls, and she was the number 8 batter in the order. So Paris Pontonen, keep that name in mind down the road.
And we'll see what happens. She?
I think she was only a 9th grader.
Yeah, you see, that's something.
So, girls golf. Kelby Anderson got her first ever win in an individually the other day. As she shot a 43, I think, in Cook. She won by 4 shots, so congratulations to Kelby. And her and Kiara Asen competed at the East Range Conference meet today, and they both were all conference.
Oh,
so good for them.
Great.
The boys in the same meet today at the Quarry. They ended up taking 3rd as a team. They don't have a team score for the girls because they only have 2 golfers. You need 4. And the boys, I believe, came in 3rd. And then Nick Tanner, Miles Mason, and Mitchell Nemick were all conference as well. As they were, I believe, in the top 15 is how that works. So golfers are getting ready
I'd just like to see with that Mason family, they finally got a good golfer in there. I like that. We zing Billy with that one.
Hey, Bob plays a lot of golf.
They play a lot of golf.
He's pretty good. The boys and girls golfers have their first 18 holes of the section meet next Monday and Tuesday. And then they get a week off, and then they play the second and final round
Where
to
do they
see who
play
goes
that
to
at?
state. At the quarry.
Okay.
So next week, when we do the show, we'll have results of who's into the final day, and we'll see who might have a chance to make it to state. The International Falls track and field teams were busy this week. The big news, as far as I'm concerned, and it's no disrespect to any of the other athletes, because I got to watch a meet yesterday at home. Should I explain that?
Well, yeah, it was a virtual meet of sorts, right?
There's a little miscommunication between coaching staffs and ADs or whoever. The coaches thought the track meet started at 3 p.m. Started at 11 a.m.
Whoa.
They were just going to get on the bus to leave, and the meet was starting. Oops. So they got a hold of everybody, and they said, oh, go ahead and run the meet in International Falls, and we'll just put all the results in. So they did that. So I got to go watch the track meet yesterday, which, well, you can't get much better than that. It's sports, but it's a track meet, which is much more fun. Jack Maxwell, you know Jack Maxwell.
Yes, I do. Nice boy.
Went 14 feet in the pole vault.
Oh, ho, 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 ho.
14
What
feet.
is the school record on this one?
Rafi Gilu, 14.7.
Okay.
So here it is. Nice warm day yesterday. And so we'll see what Jack's got a couple of weeks left. We'll see maybe, Rafi set that mark, I believe, at the section meet. Went 14.7. I think he won the state meet at 14 or 14.1. That's way, man, that's like 12, 13 years ago.
I'm not surprised that Jack's not in the hunt for that. Besides, you put the physical ability and the mental capability, that's where you pull across champions, and he's got the legacy, no doubt about it.
On the girls' side, if I haven't mentioned Abby Hutchinson on this show before, I think I have, but she's a distance runner. Took first place in the 3,200 yesterday. Took fourth in the 1,600. If you ever have a chance to watch her run, and I know there's no more home meets, but you want to talk about effortless, and there she goes. She's just cruising along. I'm just like, I watched her in the 2 mile yesterday, and I'm just like, Jay Boyle was sitting where you're sitting, and I'm like, could that look any easier? She's going to run 2 miles, and she's running at a pretty good clip. It didn't even look like she was trying it.
Working hard.
And she took first place. I don't know. This girl's going to be very good. She's obviously runs cross country.
And what year is she?
She is a 9th grader.
Oh boy. So
let's see what happens. Keep that name in mind.
Yeah.
Rainy River Baseball. I got to finish the Broncos. Bronco Bowling is going to the state meet this weekend. They qualified 4th, so congratulations to them. And they compete in the all-conference meet where they get to go with the other teams from their conference. So what happens is if you're from Hibbing and you're one of the top 6 bowlers and I'm from International Falls, we're on the same team for the tournament. So they have a tournament on Friday, and then on Saturday is the actual team tournament where the Broncos compete against from the others. So to be seeded 4th, there's some expectations out there.
Well, and I've seen this happen with other sports too, where they have the tournament, they send down all their kids, they sort the kids out on teams, and all of a sudden you're playing with a whole bunch of kids that you hadn't played with before and having a good time.
That is exactly what the all-conference meet is about on Friday, and that's exactly what the kids. I taped an interview for Coach's Corner today, and that's what they basically said. This is it's a lot of fun, but once you get into it, you turn the competitive nature on, and you really try to get going. So, so we'll see what happens there. So good luck to them. Rainy River Baseball had a tough weekend. Well, they had a tough Friday. Came in as the North Division champs. Ended up losing games by a score of 11-0 and 11-1.
Whoa!
And if I remember hearing the stats correctly, in 2 games and 11 innings, they had only 5 hits. This was a team that batted, I believe, like .345 for the season. So it was just one of those. Hey, things happen.
Yeah, you run into a couple of hot pitchers, and I'll tell you, they can slow you down real quick.
Rainy River Softball is at home this week, Thursday, Friday, for the Region 13B tournament. Coach Dieter Humber was named Coach of the Year for the North Division.
Good
no
boy.
Surprise.
Nope.
As the girls, the ladies, I don't want to call them girls, the women were division champs. And then there's a lady on the team, a young lady. Her name's Madison Leto. She was named Player of the Year for the North Division from Rainy River. She batted .545 for the season.
That's good.
That's pretty good. She hit 8 home runs, 9 doubles, and she had 48 RBI. 48 RBIs, that's second best in the nation.
Oh, wow.
Her .545 batting average, that's third best in the nation. And she plays a little shortstop, does a little pitching. So I know by the time some of you watch this, it might be Friday. But if you live in International Falls, you should get out and watch Rainy River. Madison Leto is, the whole team really can hit. And she's going to be fun to watch.
So they play here on Friday?
They play here on Thursday afternoon and Friday.
Okay.
So you should come out.
I'm going to have to get out of here.
So the Rainy River plays at 3 o'clock on Thursday. And then depending upon whether they win or lose in the double elimination tournament, we'll decide when they play on Friday. I think that's everything I got on the local schedule. I think.
I'll tell you what, a lot of people out doing sporty things, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Let's talk about Jerry Burns.
Jerry Burns,
Burnsy.
We one time when we were at UMD, this would have been the fall of '67, and here comes Bud Grant. He had just taken over the job of the Vikings, and he came to the practice field with Vern Gagne and this scrawny little character named Jerry Burns.
Yeah.
And we didn't know him from anything except in a couple of years later he's playing with Jim Marshall and Carl Eller and Alan Page and he was piecing the defense together for Bud Grant. These guys, I'll tell you, this is the greatest generation in that he joined the Navy at 17 in 1944. He got out of the Navy and he went to Michigan, played football there, and was on the 1950 Rose Bowl championship team. And then he started coaching all over the place. In the 60s, he hooked up with Bud Grant, and they went up to Winnipeg together. And then he coached at Iowa for 5 or 6 years. And then when Bud Grant got the job here, he waited for a second because Burnsy was a defensive coordinator for Vince Lombardi in Green Bay, and Bud brought him over, and there started a 50-year a friendship. And I'll tell you, I don't know if I can remember a more popular coach that the Minnesota Vikings ever had, both with the media, with the fans, with the players. And then again, there was also his interviews. And his interviews were,
R-rated?
Well, sometimes they were R-rated, and I always think he's the Yogi Berra of football. And, and the thing of it is that he was so truthful and honest and innately hysterical.
Huh?
But he was the Vikings coach for 6 years, and I took a look at some of his records down here. They
55 and 46, I think, was the
52-43
in the regular season.
Yeah, and in 88 and 89 he went 11-5 and 10-6, and those were very good. Those were very good football teams. They said, well, he wasn't an intellectual football player, and they say, au contraire. You want to talk about the West Coast offense? He invented it. Chuck Foreman had, some 76, 77 pass receptions out of that. They'd run what they call the A-B circle. And that's from the days when they had two setbacks. They don't see that anymore. But they had 2 setbacks, and they would run these A-B circles. They would have one wide receiver, a tight end, and some kind of a slot back situation. And oftentimes they went double tight. And just,
2 tight ends.
Yeah. 2 tight ends, and just went with that. But what they wound up doing with that A-B circle was creating slot backs. So we can say Bill Welch invented that, but I think it was invented not the West Coast, the Midwest offense.
Yeah, I think the offense came from Burnsy, and they call it the West Coast because, like you said, Bill gets credit for it, but I guess we understand probably where it comes from.
And then you say, well, just how successful of a man was he, and he's married to one woman for 66 years. Her name is Marilyn. They had 5 kids. They have 15 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren to 94 years old. I'd say, Burnsy, you done good. And, he's an old-timer, and I just miss those old-time coaches. We just are running out of them. He was an amazing man. He really was.
I told you when we discussed this, I think on Sunday, that on KQDS in the Twin Cities back in the early 90s when he was coaching, even after he was the coach, KQDS, of course, they had their spoofs, their funnies in the morning, and they'd always would do Uncle Jerry effing Burns reading bedtime stories to his nieces or nephews. And so he would tell you about Goldilocks and the Three Bears, or about Snow White, and of course the F word, which he was very good with during his interviews, became part of the beat process on the radio, and they were hilarious. I don't know how else to put it, folks. If you never had a chance to listen, I'm sure they're out on the internet.
Go on YouTube. And put down Jerry Burns, and you will see some of the most hysterical interviews that you've ever seen. And sometimes he was just completely off the wall, and that's when the comedians really liked him. But no, he was a fan of all the comedians and talk shows and all the rest. Yeah, Burnsy was a great guy. Coming from Michigan and all,
Yeah, not too bad for a guy that graduated from Michigan.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But when I started looking at that, I says, what did he do? Well, he had split backs. He had one wide receiver, split in maybe, if not tight, and those ends could block to beat hell. And and that's what he invented. But the A and B circles, you hear Paul Horning say, "Oh, there goes Chuck Foreman on their A-B circle routes," and and Chuck had great hands.
Yeah. Except when he seemed to be, I remember him being called Fumble Fingers Foreman. He could catch the ball, but he had a propensity
to give it up when he got hit.
When he got hit, he liked to fumble it every once in a while. Yeah. And that's why he ended up in New England, the dirty bugger.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Anything else?
I'm just. I don't think so. I just think that he was just a heck of a guy. And anytime you give an old bet, I can actually say his life was worth celebrating. I'm
Absolutely.
not that crazy about that term, but with Burnsy, you blank right. You're blanking right.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out. I've been debating here for the last few minutes whether I was going to say something. One of my, I don't know if I want to call him a mentor, but in the town that I grew up, a guy who was very involved with our church youth organization, was just a great guy. Ron Fields passed away today, and I know his health had been going down pretty steadily lately, but Ron was a great guy. For those of you who watch the show who are from Meadowlands, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Just one of those guys that went out of his way to always ask how things were going, and just wanted to know. And I always felt like, even though he wasn't my dad, Ron was always there if I needed somebody to talk with, to just say, hey, how are things going? How are the kids? All that other stuff. And even though we were vastly apart in ages, I never felt that we weren't colleagues. But he was also a father figure. So my condolences to Fran and the family, and he will be missed.
And it's nice having people like that in your life. You would not be the same man.
That's correct.
Yes.
Let's wrap her up.
I think that's good enough for me.
Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Take care, folks.